8 decisions that matter more than you think. Looking back at age 77. I went to breakfast with some guys and we ended up talking about our life stories. We had a leisurely breakfast and enjoyed each other's company and talking and sipping coffee. And I guess one guy just decided to tell his life story, probably responding to questions. When he got finished, the next guy over told his life story. And then the next guy told, and then I told my life story, and around the table. And it was just really, really interesting, all the twists and turns life takes. And we think we're alone in that, but we're not. Everybody's life is the same journey like that. I mean, it's amazing. But anyway, I came up with 8 different life decisions based on kind of those conversations. And I'd like to share with you. And I point those out and kind of look back and see how it affected your life. Well, first of all, thank you very much. I had heart ablation 14 days ago, and I'm doing fine. It's kind of like the nurse said, you're not going to feel real bad, but you're not going to feel good either. But I'm a trooper, and I'm out here and get it done. Okay, the first thing I came up with, and these are just things I came up with that were common from the guys telling their life stories, and I'll cover those, but there could be a lot more than that. I had 10, I narrowed it down to 8. Number 1, education and skills. You know, isn't that one of the first decisions you'll ever make when you graduate from high school? You know, are you going to go to further schooling? You know, vocational school maybe, or junior college, or university. You know, what are you going to do for further your skills? Or are you going to start a job and get lucky with on-the-job training? That's something that is possible too. That may be just as good as anything. If you do have further education, what are you going to major in? That's one of the most important things you can think about. My older half-brother, he was way older than us. He didn't live with us, but he was a major in the Army, and he stopped by when I was a senior in high school, and my father asked him to talk to me about what to major in. He said accounting is a pretty good thing. He found out, his major was in forestry, but he said accounting is pretty good. And so I did accounting, and I really, really appreciate that. I had no idea what accounting was other than bookkeeping. So that's going to set the course of your life, your major probably. Now you can get jobs in something else, but I mean that's going to be a big factor, whatever schooling you do, and that's so important to get skills. I'm going to try not to preach on this video, but I guess got to say, you know, if you don't get any skills, you know, you're going to be the base labor, and you're not going to be very much in demand. If you get skills, you start developing a little resume there, and you know you're in demand. And the more you develop those education and certifications and continuing educations and things like that, the more you're going to be valuable, and life is going to be easier. The second thing I already covered: choosing a profession. Let me say this: if you went to further schooling like college or vocational, whatever it was, yeah, you're probably likely to start in that profession. Now, it doesn't mean you can't change and things like that. And people did. I did. I changed from accounting after 8 years and jumped over to real estate. And I'd love to tell you that story, but it's a long one. I won't do that. But I will tell you this story. My wife, Mary Ann, she lived in Griffin, Georgia, hours south of Atlanta. And it was a mill town, a textile mill town. Even in 1965, she graduated from high school. And she said, I'm not going to go work for the mill. Her mother worked as a sewing machine operator for the mill for her whole life. And her father was the fixer in the maintenance shop. And they were great people, and that was wonderful. And everybody in town worked for these textile mills. And she said, I don't want to do that. So she hitched a ride with a neighbor up to Atlanta, and she got a job with the state of Georgia. She typed 120 something words per minute, so she got stenographer job. And she told the person at the personnel office that you'll like this. This is a great story. I just had lunch with Marianne yesterday, and she told me this, and I said, I got to tell people this. She told them at personnel, she said, my friend that lives behind me that just graduated from high school, she started with the state 2 weeks ago, and I'd like to ride with her. I don't have a car. I'd like to ride with her to Griffin to work. And she said, well, what department? And she said, it was disability. And she put Marianne in a taxi to send her over to the disability department in a building, separate building. And she got the job. And guess what? The next few minutes changed her life. They said, your job is going to be a stenographer and admin to this person, a counselor in disability. He decides, whether you get disability or not. And he has to review all these medical reports and make decisions and things like that. He's blind. Leave all these doctor reports in and these medical reports. She would read that in a dictaphone to that counselor. He would listen. He would make a determination. He would get on the dictaphone again, whatever that mask thing is they talk into, and he would give Marianne instructions to send this report or write this report up, and had all these medical terms and medical procedures. They gave her it's inside. I should have brought it here. She's still got the medical dictionary. It's a big, thick one. This thing is this thick. And she learned those terms. She was only 17 years old. Anyway, and she went on. She was there a couple of years. Then when she went to Georgia Baptist Hospital in pathology and typed up reports and learned terminology and all that stuff. She said it was very interesting. And she went on to have a career. She went to one of the top plastic surgeons in Atlanta. I'd love to tell you all the people he did. I can't do that. Top orthopedic surgeon, and then ended up at a major insurance company in charge of the department for the Southeast, and had like 25 employees under her. I'm really proud of her. She really made a career out of that, starting from that simple beginning. Number 2, choosing a profession, and that's what Marianne did. She made a profession, a career, and that's what you have to do. You really do. When I graduated with a degree in accounting, my friend, I went to his house for the weekend. He graduated the same time I did. He was still going to school. We were roommates, and his father was a prominent doctor. And he said, okay, you got an accounting degree. What are you going to do with that? Well, I never thought about what I would do with it. I just want to get a degree. Anyway, that was, you have to make your career. Number 3, working for others or working for yourself. A lot of these people that gave their life stories worked for one company for the whole 9 yards, for the whole time. Other people started a business. And me personally, I did. I got into real estate, and I worked as a property manager, and then I started my own property management company in 1992 after the boss man told me that I was making too much money, and he reduced my salary, and I made a note of that, and a year later I started my company. People told me not to do it or tried to scare me about it, and it is scary. It's like walking into a lake and not knowing if you're going to step in a hole and just disappear. I mean, it's really scary stuff. So anyway, we did that, and the best decision I ever made. Who will you marry? Wow. Warren Buffett, the big investor, said, that's one of the most important things you can do is marry. You marry well, marry good. I mean, I don't think he said marry good. He just said have a good partner. We've been married 53 years in August, and I got out of the Army in like October, and I traveled around the country and Mexico with a bus ride for 30 days, came back, got a job. But by that time it was January. I met Marianne, my wife, of 53 years in August, in January or February. We got married in August. I told Marianne about this. There's no advice other than we were a good team. We are a good team. That's our secret, a good team. Good or bad, your spouse is going to be very important life decision. Next one up, number 5, having children or not. That's a lifetime decision, that's for sure. Whether you have children or not, there's certainly no right answer. As long as you're pleased with it, that's all that counts. We had no children, and we are pleased with that. Other people, the children is everything to them, and all kind of things, but that's deeply personal, and it's something that, you need to think about, and that's going to be a very, very important decision in your life about whether to have children or no children. Number 6, staying out of debt. Staying out of debt is really important. When my parents didn't have any credit cards, of course, back then, and when I graduated from college in 1970, I got a job and I made $10,000, and that qualified me for an American Express card. And I got one. I was proud of it. Kind of a status symbol back then, believe it or not. And I needed the card because I travel for business around the Southeast, and I needed that. I always paid the balance off. When I got married, Marianne, she had a balance, and it wasn't because of any frivolous lifestyle. She was not making as much as I was, and it took money to live. And first thing we did was pay off the credit card. She reminds me today, she says, "You made me pay off the credit cards." And I think we put them in the freezer or something, and we paid the balance off. First thing we did when we got married, and we never had any personal debt whatsoever our whole life. Now, we had mortgage, of course, but we never had any credit card debt. It's a very important issue, life decision, if you're going to stay out of debt or not. And it's up to you personally. Next up is number 7, living below your means. That's one thing that we did. We were very conservative. We didn't really have a backup plan. Our parents graciously supported us until we left home, and then it was up to us. We had other siblings for them to think about, and that's something that's going to make a big difference in your life. If you don't know how to control your spending, and you spend more than you take in, well, you're going to have a tough life. That's all I can say. I did a video recently about spending money. If you have enough money, maybe spend some when you get to be 77, 78. Spend more, but we have no need to do that. And we've done this our whole life. I don't see any reason we should change too much. But that's a life decision everybody needs to make. And the number 8, the last one, is health. That's so important. When you're young, you don't really think about health too much, do you? I mean, everybody's pretty healthy. And you get a job and you start being in the office or not moving as much, and you start getting a belly, and you start eating fast food on the road and traveling. But when you get older, in your 50s, you start thinking, man, I need to improve my health. So I think most retired folks know that now, how important health is. So those are my 8 life decisions that matter more than you think. Coming to you from me, age 77, looking back over life, hearing what these other guys had to say, and looking at my own life. And you get a special context of things at this age as opposed to being younger. So let me know what you think down in the comments. I would love the comments. Did any of these resonate more than others to you? Any of them make a major difference in your life? I wish we could talk more in detail about each one of these, and maybe I'll do that in a future video. But I appreciate you watching. Please join me for another video, probably of an entirely different topic. This is Robert.